Google. It used to just be another internet search engine. Now, it kind of seems like they're taking over the world. Just hop on Google Earth and you can go just about anywhere, from Mount Everest to the moon, even your own front door. The question is, how did they do that? And also, is it always a good thing to make the world so accessible? HotList anchor Amy Holmes, what say you?
Well, Raj, like all technology, it has its pros, its cons, its pluses, its minuses, and can be used for good or evil. It really depends on what you decide to do when you sit down at your computer.
So how did Google Earth actually get started?
Well, of course there was Google, which was just a simple search engine. And then Google created Google Maps, and that's your map to be able to see where you're going. Take a left here, take a right there. And then Google purchased a company that was actually funded by the CIA to create Google Earth. And that's, Google capturing all of these images so you can see them both satellite, 3D, street view, turning all around. It's pretty extraordinary stuff.
Okay, but what does this technology look like? I mean, what do they actually use to get this stuff on
right.
Google Earth?
Well, planes, trains, automobiles, whatever it takes to collect these images. You have sending hikers up on mountain trails with backpacks, with cameras, mini submarines cruising underwater, capturing all that imagery, even snowmobiles, if you can believe it.
But here's my question. When you take a couple photos of whatever you're looking at, it's kind of choppy. So how do they get this whole application to look so seamless?
Right, well, there's so many layers to it. So first would be the street level view. And that's taking a number of different photos and then digitally stitching them together so it looks like a panoramic view. I mean, you and I could do it at our desk just with, gluing and pasting our own photos, but they do it digitally. Then, of course, you have the 3D imagery, you have the satellite imagery, and all of that is basically blended together so that when you go to Google Earth, you can click and see, which view you want to take.
So all this sounds pretty good. Are there negatives to this whole thing?
Well, sometimes it makes me nervous to know that Google, through satellite imagery, can take photos, of the top of your house, which could include your backyard. And if you happen to be sunning yourself that day that the picture was taken, there you are. So some people do have a lot of worries about the civil liberties aspects. So when we were discussing the car driving around neighborhoods, capturing images of the front of homes, I mean, now that you can go on Google 3D and be street level and have a street level view of that structure. A lot of folks are really worried about that. What if my car is parked in the driveway and there's my license plate number? Well, Google says that they have blurred all of that out, but you got to kind of just trust them that they did, right? So that makes some people nervous. One thing to maybe counterbalance that is that the images that you find at Google Earth are actually 1 to 3 years old because it takes a lot of time to collect all of these images. So it's not in real time. You're not looking in someone's backyard at that very moment. That was an image that was collected 1 to 3 years prior.
So all the stuff they're doing is legal?
It is legal. This is considered public space. There's no prohibition on it legally, but what Google is, they do have constraints, they do have limits. So for example, the Department of Defense doesn't allow Google to get to the street level view of military bases for obvious national security reasons.
Does it creep you out that Google's like taking photos of where you live?
Yes. In short, does it freak you out?
Yeah,
it's
it
a
does.
little strange, right? Because, well, we were talking about the pros and cons of technology. Some people have pointed out, if you're a criminal, all you have to do is go to Google Earth, get a 3D image, be able to see the satellite view of the structure, see the front of the structure, study it, and maybe use it for some really bad purposes.
It's a big topic, but if you
is.
could summarize, what should we take away from Google?
Well, Google Earth likes to call itself a virtual globe, and they're collecting this information from NASA, oceanographers, astronauts, all of this information, and they're coordinating it and stitching it together so that you and I can go back to our desks and go check it out.
Amy, thank you so much.
Thank you, Raj.
And we'll be back in just a second.